Hello, my name is Mark Gonzalez, and today I will be doing a presentation on how to teach gifted students and how to harness their potential and avoid potential pitfalls that they have due to their giftedness. So prior to very recently, we had this old model of teaching where everything was very standardized. You had objectives that had to be taught at a grade level. For example, first graders had to learn how to add and subtract one-digit numbers. It was very cookie cutter, and because everyone was at the same pace, there were students who would excel, students who would fall behind, and students who had a lot of potential but were often seen as lazy. So we were kind of stuck with this notion because we had this belief that it was bad for students to accelerate. It was bad for a kindergartner to start reading three-syllable words, or it was bad for a first grader to read at a sixth grade level. So that's where we have gifted students come in. Gifted students are students who excel in one or more or many academic areas beyond grade level. And the thing is, we know they're gifted. We know they have their special talent somewhere. It could be many places. But what we really need to know is that we need to be aware of the challenges they can face. Gifted students can often be seen as lazy or unmotivated. This is because they know the subject. Many of them know the subject the first time they're taught it. They can be seen as defiant or frustrated, and this is, for example, if they're being retaught a subject they already know, they don't want to hear it again. They've learned it and they're done with it. And they can also be very depressed because of their intelligence. They don't feel like they're advancing, or they feel like they're being teased because of it. So the first thing I want to talk about is recognizing and applying RTI, which is response to intervention. It's a model that's used a lot in a lot of special needs students, but I feel that it really applies for gifted students as well. For example, a lot of gifted students are here in Tier 1. They know what they know, which is the core classroom instruction, but beyond that, they're not really being challenged, and that's why I believe that a lot of gifted students should sort of be put in a tier two position where they're challenged and they tread unfamiliarity, as I put right there. The other thing we need to know, and the other reason why we should apply RTI, is that some gifted students have learning disabilities. There was this old notion that all gifted students were gifted in all areas, but that's not entirely true. We need to recognize their gifts and use them to help them in the places where they need help. For example, if a student is gifted in reading and writing, they're very creative, and they have a learning disability in math, there are ways to apply their skills that they're gifted in order to help them excel in reading in math. Another way to help gifted students is to provide for them modified group work. Let us say, for example, that the class is reading a book, the majority of the classes, and it's of a certain genre. Now, you believe that this book is too simple for the gifted student. So, let's say the genre is mystery. The majority of the class gets a mystery novel, while the gifted student gets a more advanced mystery novel. They're two completely different titles. Therefore, the students and the gifted student can finish at their own pace, and the teacher can provide supplemental material as needed for the gifted student to excel. At the end, the class can have a whole class discussion about the genre as opposed to the book itself. Another way to modify group work for gifted students is to have them show you what they know instead of teaching them what they know. And this is really hits home for a lot of gifted students because a lot of them know what they know how to apply the skill while the other students are doing skill work and their skill is mastered. So instead of teaching them over and over again that this is how you do the work, instead you can provide opportunities to demonstrate those skills. For example, instead of teaching them how to find similes and metaphors, have them apply similes and metaphors, have them write them, have them look for them in books and write them out in lists. They can also aid students in mastering this skill, which is a huge asset and stress relief for teachers. Some gifted students, though, we need to recognize prefer individual work. There's a lot of ways we can provide individual work for gifted students. For example, in reading, we can give them the freedom to choose their own material. Now, the material may be too simple, so we can apply this thing known as the rule of three, which is if the student sees three words or more that are too difficult for them, that material is too difficult. However, if they see no words that are difficult for them, then that material is too easy. Therefore, they need to find one or two words that can be challenging for them to be in that level 2 tier of the RTI. Another way is also to keep tabs on them by having one-on-one conferences just to make sure they know the stuff and they're not completely removed from the classroom. In vocab, students can have etymology charts and vocabulary building charts. These really help in harvesting their pursuit of knowledge, while in writing, you can help their abilities grow by showing them how to write out storyboards or rewrite stories they've read. There are a few things we should avoid with helping gifted students out. The first thing is that we should not persist as much with concepts they've learned. We need to ask ourselves, have they learned the goal? Have they learned the standard that we're trying to teach? If the answer is yes, then you've completed your task as a teacher. There's no need for you to hammer and have them be on the same level as other students. That just causes, again, frustration, depression, and defiance. It's also good to avoid competitions such as most books read or fastest times table solver. This is because a lot of gifted students are very intrinsically motivated. That means that they're motivated on their own. If we provide a resource that is given to them because of their gift, then that makes them extrinsically motivated, which means that they're going to want something out of their giftedness. We also need to avoid alienation both from the gifted student and from their peers. For example, we don't want to make the gifted student feel like they're not included with the rest of the class, and we don't want to have other students in the class feel like this student is special and they're not. And we also need to avoid a misdirected sense of self-worth. A lot of gifted students are perfectionists automatically, and this can be very misdirected and lead to emotional breakdowns. We need to recognize this and let the student know that, what they're doing is amazing and just keep encouraging them.